If this is your first time here, welcome, and if you are coming back as a returning visitor, welcome back. You ever make one of those decisions where you're kind of like, yeah, and then a little bit later you're kind of like, all right, this is still cool, but what have I done? In front of me are some tires, but in front of those tires is a 1964 AMC Rambler that I have just purchased. I picked it up last night with Colby here.
What's up?
Rode up to Pennsylvania, picked it up, and
got ourselves in a little pickle now.
yeah, got some work to be done.
Not yet, but we'll see what problems arise as we go along.
But just kind of walking around it. You see it's got a little bit of body rust, but not too much. I'll do another video where I kind of show the ins and outs of it some more, but just kind of to give an update real quick. There she is. So the hood latch is right here in the grill, so I'm gonna pop it. There we go. If I can find it, I'm trying to do this one-handed.
It's the same one.
Yeah, you want to grab the hood? It's hard to do this one-handed.
All right, we're gonna pick one or the other.
Yes. But there we go. So there's my Costco battery. It's covered with a little piece of foam right there. Had it covered for when we were driving around. You can see there are a couple small little interesting things. Heater cores jumped out, so I'm going to diagnose that at some point. But there's some new parts, some old parts in there right now. So I'm going to get it fired up real quick. Just kind of get it backed out. Before we do that, though, you can see the engine ground is pretty loose right here. So I'm going to take care of that. Tighten it up a little bit, and then, yeah, I'm going to hit it with a wire brush, make sure that it's getting a good solid connection. It was having a bit of trouble running when we were getting on the trailer last night, and I believe that that's exactly why, but yeah, there she is. Always wanted a classic, always wanted a project, so here in front of me sits just that. So I threw in this little piece of styrofoam to cover up my positive terminal for my Costco battery that I have in here that'll probably be returning, because
Costco batteries are the best. Don't ever question it.
I know they're interstate, and they're cheap. This was like $109. I mean, you can't beat that, but when you close it, it gets pretty close to here. Last thing that I want is to close it and have some spark shoot out underneath my hood. So I hit it with some penetrating oil, tighten it up right there. You can see it's on there pretty good, or at least it feels like it is. Colby checked the dipstick as well. It seems like it's got adequate oil in it, but it should be changed at some point.
We gotta tighten the alternator belt because you can see how loose it is. So we'll just have to loosen this back bolt and then just pull it up a little bit and then tighten it. But it's pretty loose now, so might just want to tighten it before we go driving it.
Yeah. Ironically enough, the only time that I've ever actually seen another alternator tighten like that is on the Subaru, which was a 2009. So I guess technology hadn't changed too much. And what was that? 45
it's smart
years.
How they have them like that.
Oh yeah, I mean it's easy to do it that way, but
it has oil too. It's black, but there's no grit or anything on it whatsoever. I'll pull it so you guys can see. But so it does need change, but as you can see on my finger, I mean there's no it's just a little bit sludgy, but there's really no, it doesn't have any real thickness to it. There's no shavings, nothing really. And it shouldn't if it is true to what they said where this was barn kept and only has 84,000 original miles, and it should be fine.
Yeah, so. But I'll close this and I'll try to start it up and I'll see what we get. So I'm going to try to start this up. Like I said, I just tightened down the ground, which was preventing us from being able to start it yesterday. So we'll see if it starts first try. Fires right up.
Yeah.
Go ahead, pop it.
Is it down here? Or is it up here?
In the grill. Pull it in. There she is. She's been running for a couple of minutes now, so idling nice and quiet. Back in the driver's seat again. Like I said, I'll give a full extensive tour at some point or another, but this is one of my favorite features. Commands respect on the road. So I just figured this out as well. I was kind of looking at this little toggle switch down here, and I hit it, and check that out.
I spoke too soon. I think it is
underfloor lighting. So that's pretty cool. Right now, we're just searching for some sockets through my set, and we're going to find one that'll work to adjust the alternator belt a little bit. Like I said, this one right here for power steering feels just fine, but the one for the alternators got some play to it. I don't really like that. Colby doesn't really like that, so we're going to get that tightened up. So we moved the alternator up a little bit. You can see the belt's not really slapping around as much as it was before. Clears it right there, but not by too much, so I'm going to have to keep an eye on that, but I'm happy with how it looks. I'm going to close the hood real quick. Oh, can't forget my little Mr. Wire Brush. Give it a good old little... Cool! Alright, I'm going to get it fired up again real quick.
You want this back by your stuff.
Yeah, that's another thing that I figured out too. This thing, you got to make sure that it's in park. Like, you have to bump it up if it won't start.
Yeah, just push it all the way
Little
up.
neutral safety switch now. You see it bumps down like that when you start it, but...
Yeah. Did you show them the lights yet? The under lights?
Oh, yeah. That's one of my favorite features that I found so far.
I love that.
I really like that. I got to replace that one, but it's cool. But parking brake release. And this thing does have manual brakes, so the brakes are... They are a bear to drive with this thing, but it's in reverse. I'm holding on the brakes. I'm going to back it up and move it real quick. Lights on. Well, I have my new tags on there. Historic, as you can see, but I'm going to whip it around real quick. I'm going to take it up to the gas station real quick. Might have Colby record bits and pieces of how that goes. So I really have no idea what to expect. My floor lighting on right now, as you can see. Start her up. Fires right up.
Quick.
So I'll turn off my underfloor lights. As long as all looks good around here, keep an eye out for any odd sights, smells, whatever, and get her going.
Well, we're about 2 minutes in so far, and everything's pretty smooth. There's a little ticking we can hear, so we can't quite figure that out yet. But it's done it even when it's idles too, so it might just be something hitting somewhere. It doesn't get any progressively worse or better, so it's just something to keep an eye on like everything else. But how's it feel so far?
I mean, it's feeling just as good as it did on the test drive, which I like. Hopefully, I'm saying so far, because whenever I say it feels great, it breaks down.
Yeah.
Like every other car that I've ever owned. But I mean, it's my 84,000 mile, 60-year-old AMC Rambler and my 2005 Lexus that just turned over 279,000 miles on the way to your house. So between them, I have my fair share of issues. But I mean, so far, I'm just hoping it continues to run like this. I mean, obviously, it's not ready for me to go and whip it down the highway, down 95, up 83, anything like that. But I'm sure as long as we take care of the issues that we know are glaring, it should be hopefully just fine.
Yeah, I would definitely agree. It's not bad so far.
I mean, if I give it some gas real quick, like, I mean, you feel it pull. It just drops
yeah,
down
you can
here.
feel it. It definitely wants to move a little bit. So it opens up and it does let loose a little bit. We're not kicking it too hard, because then again, this is basically our first maiden voyage with it just by ourselves. But everything feels all right so far.
Well, I made it at the gas pump, so I say, is that pouring out the bottom? Yep. Yep.
Overflow.
Ooh. Yeah.
Yeah, just to overflow, I think.
So, I'll have to keep in mind for future reference that doesn't have an auto shut off, because this didn't have the same emission standards as it did back then. Yeah, that's wasted a little bit of gas right there. But that's my own fault. I'll have to keep that in mind from here on out.
It just didn't have auto shut off, that's all. But
Yeah, I was gonna say, I mean, these things, as you can see, the little nozzle inside of them, wherever it is, they're built so that whenever the vapor backs up, it can do that. But there's no sort of charcoal canister or anything in here, so none of that fancy stuff. But anyways, as I was saying before, I got interrupted by my car spraying gas out the bottom. We did make it at the gas station, so we are here. I put in a full tank, so about 15 gallons, so not too bad. Made it here with no issues. Might cruise around a little bit just to make sure that we don't have any issues.
Yeah.
But I'll throw the gas cap on. I might inflate the tires a little bit because that back one does look a little flat, and I don't know when it last was. But other than that, I mean,
solid.
I'm happy with how it's been going so far.
So far.
Yeah, I'm just keep on saying no issues so far because something always goes wrong. But I'll throw in the videos that Colby took. The best part so far was the fact that I pulled in here and some guy slowed down his truck, and I was like, "What's this guy doing?" He goes, "Hey, that's a nice ride, fella." So
The thing that gets me is
literally the first guy.
Was the first person that we passed, and we were wondering why he was going so slow. And the dude just basically comes to a stop and says, "Nice ride, fellas," and we just screamed, "Yeah!" and high-fived each other. Literally one of the best moments possible.
Exactly. That's
what
not
you
the
live for
reason
with
that I
these.
bought this car, but it's easily one of the reasons.
It's a reason.
Also,
But,
bro, look at all these screws in here, man. Heis, get your stuff together. Clark
Yes,
has
it
receipt. Yeah, no, he doesn't. Whip it up that way a little bit, see how it looks.
Okay.
Maybe pull over after like a mile or two and just see how the gas looks. Make sure it's not actively leaking out or anything.
We should be fine.
I'm sure we
If
are.
it
You're back from the maiden voyage. I'll go ahead and shut her off. Turn off the lights. Call it a night. So here she is parked back at Colby's now. She's going to be stored up here because I quite frankly don't have the space back at my house. So this is where she shall live. Windows are all closed up. Doors are all closed up. All the lights are off to save the battery. It's all closed up right now. So I'm happy with how it ran. I'm pretty satisfied if I'll be honest here. But I expected a couple hiccups, and we did have a hiccup. Of course, no ride like this is ever perfect. The main one was the fuel leak that I showed you. It was spilling out the bottom when I filled it, but then when I come to a stop at a couple stoplights, and we stopped by a friend's house as well, it was pouring out the bottom a little bit. I wouldn't really say pouring, but it was a considerable amount for sure. Of course, now that I'm recording, there's not anything underneath, but all in all, not too bad. So the first things that I'm going to plan to get addressed on here is I'm going to change out my fluids and get working on my leaks, or get working on fixing the leaks, sorry. Fuel leak is considerable, so looking at the bottom of it, it doesn't really seem like it's much more than a filler neck and then an outlet that goes up to the front of the car. So disconnect that, drop the fuel straps, and then I should be able to drain that out and kind of get looking in there, weld in a patch or throw in some sort of other patch if it needs it, or just tighten up whatever connections are loose inside, so that shouldn't be too bad. Other than that, I'm going to do fluids and just basic maintenance. Differential fluid was apparently done not too long ago, and transmission was also serviced. It does shift hard when you throw it from neutral to drive to neutral, vice versa, things like that. And then I'll probably take care of other maintenance, just get an oil change done, get radiator flushed out as well, get some new coolant in there. And aside from that, it seems to be in pretty decent shape. I mean, it's running, it's driving. I can't really complain. Headlights work, horn works. Electronics seem to be in good shape, so we're just going to get it covered up because it is going to rain tomorrow. It does have a little bit of leakage coming in through the door sills. The weather seals have to be redone, so I'll be getting on that at some point soon. But other than that, I mean, there's just a little introduction to the car. I'm happy with it so far. Seems like so far it was good for what I expected. We'll get it covered. It definitely has work that needs to be done, but then again, it's going to be 60 years old next year, so I can't really blame it. I'm feeling probably worse in this car and less alive at 22, so all things considered, I'm happy with it.
Your patience paid off.
Yeah, exactly. I was looking, and Colby can vouch for this as well. I looked at so many different cars on Marketplace for so long. I mean,
95s, Thunderbirds.
yeah, I was going to say my goal was just to get something manual, something classic, or something that's a project. Hopefully checking 2 of the boxes. So this is definitely checking 2 of the boxes. It's definitely classic. It's definitely not new. And it's definitely a project because it is not yet perfect. But
It'll get there.
It'll get there. I'm liking what I'm seeing so far. So yeah, I mean, plenty more to come with this. I guess that's one way to make up for content when you start to run short on YouTube. I ran short, so naturally I went out and I bought a 60-year-old car that was discontinued, as was the brand that even made it. But yeah, that's really all that I have now. I'm rambling on. Rambler, get it? But
Shut up.
I'm sorry, that really wasn't funny, but yeah, I'll get editing on this. I think I have one more video to upload before I get posting on this, so we'll get it covered for the night. We'll get my tools out, and I guess I'll whip it around when I whip it around next.